This is a guide for ACC Heavyweight M2 Normal, commonly referred to as M10 Norm. The two bosses we will be facing are Red Hot and Deep Blue. Red Hot will start off by casting Hot Impact, a shared tank buster. This is followed by Alley-oop Inferno, spread AoE markers on all players. This mechanic leaves behind a lingering fire field, and applies a ticking burn if you stay in the fire field. It's best to place these close to the edge of the arena to create more space. The boss will then recenter himself and cast Cutback Blaze. Cutback Blaze targets two random players with a cone AoE that leaves behind a lingering fire field. This is followed by Diver's Dare, a raid wide. Deep Blue begins by casting Six Swell, placing a delayed gigantic wave on one side of the arena. This wave will perform a knockback at the same time as the next mechanic. Deep Blue will then perform Seeker's Takeoff and become untargetable. He will reappear on top of the previous play's giant wave, and perform a large line AoE through the middle of the arena. This happens at the same time as the knockback from the wave. Deep Varial spawns a small wave on one edge of the arena, which indicates where Deep Blue will jump to before performing a wide cone attack from that side of the arena. Position your character to avoid the cone attack. Deep Impact is a tank buster on the main tank. At this point you will have to face Red Hot and Deep Blue together. The two will cast Extreme Spectacular. Both bosses will vanish and become untargetable. A midline proximity attack will show up. Move to the edge to minimize the incoming damage. Afterwards, a firewater ball will show up in the center, and pulse out raid-wide damage before finishing off with one final hard-hitting raid-wide. Mid and heal as needed. Hot Aerial spawns 4 towers that need to be soaked by at least one player each. The towers will leave behind fire fields. Deep Blue will then perform Seeker's Swell followed by Seeker's Takeoff. As a reminder, that is a giant wave plus a large line AoE through the middle of the arena. A shared tank buster from Red Hot will go off before Deep Blue executes his mechanics. Head to the very edge of the arena on the sides away from the large midline AoE, otherwise you may get knocked into a lingering fire field. High Rotation is a stack AoE that leaves behind a fire field. It's probably best to place this right on the edge of the arena, so there are gaps between the multiple fire fields for players to move through. Deep Blue will recenter himself and perform Alley-oop Maelstrom, an alternating pizza slice AoE from the center of the arena. Something to note is that the pizza slices from Deep Blue when hitting the lingering fire circles or cones from Red Hot will trigger firewater balls to appear over the fire fields. The firewater balls that pop up over the center of the placed fire fields will explode in a circular AoE that is marginally larger than the fire field itself. Make sure to stay away. I will give more examples of these firewater balls towards the end of the guide. This is followed by Diver's Dare, but this time both bosses will be doing this raid wide at the same time, so it will hit twice as hard. The two bosses will then cast Firesnaking and Watersnaking, attaching water and fire tethers to the players. The whole party will get hit by raid wide when this finishes casting. However, it is not just raid wide. The color of the tether is also an indication of which boss a player will have to stay with to bait Kono AoEs in the mechanic that follows. If you forget, you can check the debuff on your character. The two bosses will now each cast Insane Air 4 times in a row. For each cast of Insane Air, Deep Blue will place a water marker on the arena that he will travel to. Two players will have to bait Kono AoEs from the watermark position of the arena. The two players selected for Deep Blue's baits will only be chosen from the 4 players that had a water tether earlier on. This is the same for Red Hot, where 2 of the previously fire tethered players will be selected to bait the 5 Kono AoEs that shoot out from the fire marker on the arena. The difference is that the Kono AoEs for Red Hot will leave behind a lingering fire field. From what I've seen so far, the 4 sets of water and fire markers from the Insane Air cast seem to rotate clockwise around the arena. It is advisable to aim these Kono AoEs outwards towards the closer edge of the arena, giving everyone much more room to maneuver. Another reason is because of a mechanic that might not be immediately obvious, which I will now explain. That mechanic is the firewater balls that spawn and explode in a medium-sized AoE as shown here. From what I can see, it seems that these exploding balls spawn when the water cone AoEs overlap with any lingering or immediate fire fields. As you can see in this clip, the two water fields overlap the closer fire field here. which spawned 2 exploding balls. In this clip, the 2 water cones overlap 2 lingering fire fields. The water cone from my character also overlapped with an immediate fire cone from another party member. So as you can see, that ends up spawning a total of 5 firewater balls. So aim these cones carefully, preferably outwards towards the closest edge, especially if you're baiting the fire cones. And that's all the mechanics for this raid. Remember that the mechanic named Alley-oop Maelstrom, the pizza slices from Deep Blue, can trigger these firewater balls as well. Thanks for watching, and please like, comment and subscribe, and let's have fun in the new raid tier.